What is going on, barbarians? Welcome to another video. And this video, finally, after all the comments, is about to be about the illustrious career of R9. Yes, Ronaldo Nazário. I'm finally making my way around him. I know y'all been hitting comments after comments that if you want to see for real football, you want to see the greatest, you have to look up R9. But before we actually get to that, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification button so you can keep track of this journey as I try to catch up with over 100 years of football knowledge I've missed out in history. And I've been watching the games and learning about derbies and ultras, all of that. So let's get right to it. We ain't even gotta wait. I'm gonna get right to it. All right, so we're watching the life and career of R9.
Ronaldo Nazário grew up in the Brazilian favelas, rose to the very top of your...
Oh, hold on. Before we even get to this, I noticed I got to show some love. Shout out to Top Bins. Top Bins is who the video that we're watching, so you check out their channel too. They got great videos.
European football, and then fell victim to one of the most heartbreaking downfalls in the sport's history. He scored over 400 career goals, won 2 World Cups and 2 Ballon d'Ors, but suffered some of the worst injuries a football player has ever faced. So, this is the insane rise and the tragic fall of the greatest striker football has ever seen, Ronaldo Nazário.
I've seen him before. So, like I was saying about me being new to this, me being an American watching football, I ain't say soccer, so I ain't got to get me, but saying football, sometimes we're exposed to certain people that when it kind of leaks through into American media, because American media is very strong. They don't really let outside media into any of these things. So they show us what they want to show us when it comes to actually viewing other world activities or events. So we usually can tell somebody's a big deal if they leak into American media. And I've seen him before. So that means he's definitely a big deal for sure.
For me, he was not playing football. He was football.
And then this haircut. This haircut is what we've seen. That's why I remember him from that haircut. But was there a special name to the haircut? Is there like was that like a fad that everybody else started rocking that haircut and start wearing that haircut too after he was famously known for wearing this? Because that's what we kept seeing with the caricatures of that haircut. I swear that's where I remember it from.
It's special.
The best football player I have ever seen on a pitch.
This crazy story
begins
on the 8th of September,
too.
1976 in the favelas of Rio de Janeiro. Because on that day, Ronaldo Luiz Nazário de Lima was born. But that's a long name, so we'll stick with Ronaldo Nazário for the video. Ronaldo had 2 older siblings, and their upbringing was difficult, to say the least. Ronaldo's father was a phone technician, and his mother was a housewife, meaning that there wasn't much money in the family. But as we see with most football legends, this tough upbringing was just fuel to work harder and escape poverty.
Told y'all, I said that when they come from the trenches, that be making the greatest players. Also, shout out to me getting YouTube Premium for free, because I got YouTube Premium for free, and now I can watch this without the ads playing. Shout out to that too.
From a very young age, Ronaldo's football talent became clear as he used to play on the streets in Brazil. His mother says that she always found him on the streets with a football when he was supposed to be in school, and it's that love for the sport that took Ronaldo to the very top of the game. At 11 years old, Ronaldo's parents separated, which just made life that little bit harder for him. But of course, that meant he had more fuel and drive to really make it. Now,
hey man, the harder life is, man, it seems like that's what human resiliency is like a thing. Like, it's either you're going to lay down or you're going to stand up. And the harder it is, the taller that you stand up, the greater that you will be.
Ronaldo didn't actually start out playing football. Instead, he grew up playing futsal, which is where he credits his skills and dribbling ability. But when he was 14 years old, he was spotted by Brazilian...
Okay, so I asked this question before about futsal, and some people gave me an answer of what it was, but it wasn't kind of too clear. So is that like the precursor? Is that like, I don't know, like, is that something that you can make it in and become a great name, or that's just like a pre-thing? It's like playing AAU basketball before you start making it into high school and college and everything. So that's like almost AAU soccer, almost like But I also noticed people that play futsal are very good at, from what I learned, it's called dribbling, which is, the foot skills of football. So I've learned that people that very good at futsal are very good at dribbling, and they're very good at cutting and hitting different directions. So I also noticed that. So I would like to say, or I have a question is futsal a great incubator for the top dribblers and top strikers in football? Let me know in the comments. I already told you I'll be putting in the chat comments when I get great answers. And shout out, man. Oh yeah. Shout out to Benjamin Brenneman. Is it Benjamin Brenneman? I think that's what it is. It's a user that's in my comments that he gives me great in-depth explanations when I have these type of questions, or if you see something that I miss. If you see his comment in the comment section, man, make sure you look at it. He has great elite football knowledge, and I like to shout you out. It's Benjamin Brenneman. They got numbers after it, but I don't remember the numbers.
Legend Jairzinho, and from that moment he saw him, he knew that Ronaldo was going to be a star. So he helped him make the move to football and join the São Cristóvão Youth Academy, where he shined. At just 15 years old, he was on an under-20 team, and he was getting so good that bigger clubs started to look at him. He wanted to move to Flamengo and was given a trial with the club, but he couldn't afford the bus fare to get there, so they rejected him. Instead, he signed for Brazilian club.
That's what I'm saying, man. That kind of pay-to-play type of thing. And, we got that in America where it's a lot of paywalls that stop you from going farther. And his simple paywall was just having bus fare. Here in America, man, if you don't pay that $3,000 for that week, man, you ain't about to go nowhere. But they have great incubators for the sport. We don't have that in America yet.
Cruzeiro. 4 goals on his youth team debut meant he got a call-up to the first team within just 3 months of arriving. And just like that, Ronaldo signed his first pro contract with the club. Now, Cruzeiro is an important part of Ronaldo's story, and you'll see exactly why later on in his life. But for now, Ronaldo was 16 years old with more talent than anyone could imagine and was about to start his professional football career. Skinny, head-shaven, and hungry to win, Ronaldo tore it up at Cruzeiro. He had it all, even from such a young age. Headers, stepovers, and screamers were just a part of life for the Brazilian.
So, what are the main, let me ask this on the bigger screen, what are the main moves or finishers, as we say, of football? Because I'm seeing they say headers and they said something else. I forgot what you just said. So there's actually names of move. Matter of fact, that could be one of my next videos. I'm gonna look up the names of moves that people are do that are like, bicycle kicks and things of that nature. I'm gonna look up those. But if you can, somebody list the names of the moves and what it required and everything, I'll pin your comment.
On October 5th, 1993, Ronaldo scored his first career hat-trick, making him the youngest player to do so since Pelé. And just 1 month later, he scored 5 goals in a single game, which was the day the world started to take notice of the striker. Ronaldo spent a total of 2 seasons at Cruzeiro, where he scored 44 goals in 47 games. He approached every single game in the same way, like a dog who had just been let off the leash for the first time. This was a constant throughout his entire career, as he was fearless approaching every match. This all-out approach is what made him so great, but is sadly what also led to his severe downfall. But we'll get to that soon. In the summer of 1994, Ronaldo was called up with Brazil to play at the World Cup. Although he didn't play a minute in the competition, Brazil won the tournament, meaning he picked up a World Cup winner's medal at just 17 years old. That same summer,
Now this was the question that I had before when I said, what about Lamine Yamal? And they were kept saying, oh, he was the youngest to win a World Cup, or one of the youngest. And I'm like, I could have swore somebody else won it when they were younger. But I guess, is it winning it while being a superstar as opposed as a person being on the team? But who was the youngest person to win a World Cup? And I don't know if it's that who was the youngest person to win it, as in who was the youngest person that was just on the team, or who was the youngest person that won it while playing. So that's what I wanted to know. Who's the youngest person to win the World Cup while playing?
The European clubs had their eyes on Ronaldo. Man United almost got their hands on him, but they couldn't sort out a work permit, so he ended up making a £4 million move to Dutch club PSV Eindhoven. At PSV, Ronaldo just kept getting better, and by 18 years old, he was already considered as one of the best strikers in the world. He was an impossible player to defend, as he was quicker with the ball than without it, and had the best dribbling that any striker had ever had.
And that's what I was saying about futsal. About futsal making the best dribblers.
Before, he spent a total of 2 seasons at PSV, where he won the Top Scorer Award in 1995 and the Dutch Cup in 1996. He kept up the same scoring rate he had in Brazil, with almost a goal a game with 54 goals in 58 matches, and in the summer of 1996, Barcelona broke the world record transfer fee to sign Ronaldo on an 8-year contract for a total fee of £20 million, meaning at just 19 years old, Ronaldo was the most expensive player in the history of football, and he was ready to make that price tag look like a bargain.
So, like I was saying about the transfer fees, so is there a salary cap in football? Is there a salary cap? That's something that I keep seeing when they keep paying these outrageous prices and these contracts. I mean, for back then, 8 years, $20 million is actually insane. But is there a salary cap? Is there something where they could say, you know what, we're gonna give you 5 years, $1 billion? Basically, what they kind of gave Ronaldo, CR7, as they would call. Like, so is there a salary cap, or this is because it's a global sport? It's just whatever. Whoever got the money to pay, they can pay. Because that's I was also questioning, where did PSG get all that money to be able to have Messi, Mbappe, and Neymar? I'm like, where did they get that money from? Like, did the government pay for that? Like, do governments get involved with paying for players? You know what I'm saying? Like, how does that work? How do they get the money to pay for these players?
This season at Barcelona is where Ronaldo was at his physical peak, just before the major issues would begin. He was no longer a skinny kid. He had built up a considerable amount of strength, making him the perfect athlete. This year, he was simply unstoppable, scoring 47 goals in 49 games for Barcelona. This saw him pick up the European Golden Shoe, and meant that at just 20 years old, he was already seen as the next football great. There were many comparisons to the likes of Pele, Maradona, and Van Basten, to the point where Ronaldo was the natural heir to their thrones. It's during this season that he was given the nickname El Fenomeno, or in English, the Phenomenon, and he also signed a 10-year deal with Nike, along with a lifetime.
So that's why we saw him in America, because of Nike. So he would pop up in commercials and we see caricatures of him and everything because of Nike. So seeing him through Nike ads when I was younger makes sense.
Endorsement deal, which was worth over £160 million.
Yeah.
From the streets of Rio to generational wealth in a matter of years. Now that's some story, but this story is about to get even crazier very soon. But before that, I really need your help, because I'm trying to hit 100,000 subs this year.
Yeah, go ahead, subscribe to him.
This has been my dream ever since I was a kid, so I'd really appreciate if you'd
go
help me
ahead,
out.
subscribe.
Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's get back to football. After this insane season, Ronaldo and Barcelona had verbally agreed on a new contract, which would see him double his wage and extend the 8-year deal. But after the club's lawyers took a look at the contract, they said it was absurd and blocked the renewal. This saw Inter Milan swoop in and sign him for £27 million, actually breaking the world transfer record that he had just set the year before. He landed in Italy, and the same story continued. He was on.
So I got a video that's coming out where I did, like, I'm also doing scandals and all that. So you'll probably see that before you see this. So that was like one of the big questions that I've always been having, is I see how affordable the games are, even for like, especially for smaller clubs, and think how affordable games are, and the ticket price. People are not, they're being priced out now, but back in the early days of seeing how affordable. And I'm like, okay, where's the profit margin with this? Where are they getting this money? Where they're like, you know what? We got enough to give one player $27 million for this. But I know $27 million over these type of years or whatever. So the videos that I did with the scandals and been looking up the scandals and been seeing that some of this stuff goes up to politicians and world leaders and stuff. So I'm going to assume that governments are getting involved with these teams to bring these players over, because we also understand how much a player can affect an economy. We actually watched that happen recently with LeBron James, of him going to Philly, and he said how much money he's going to bring to the actual local economy of these big players. So I will assume that these governments get involved. Am I right or wrong?
Fire, scoring 25 goals in his first season, winning the Serie A Player of the Season award. He also picked up the Ballon d'Or this year, making him the youngest player to ever win the award at only 21 years old.
Oh, that's crazy. That's Mike Tyson level. Like, that's Mike Tyson.
Season in Milan, Ronaldo and Brazil had the 1998 World Cup to play, where Brazil fought their way to the World Cup final, with Ronaldo chipping in with 4 goals along the way. But the night before the final against France, Ronaldo suffered a convulsive fit, which meant he should have been left out of the match. Somehow, he still managed to play, but it was clear he wasn't 100% on the day, because he was only a shadow of the player he usually was, as France sank Brazil 3-0 to lift the World Cup.
And that was Zidane. I'm going to do a video on him too.
After this blow, Ronaldo returned to Inter for the 98-99 season, hoping to set the Serie A on fire once again, and he started off the season by doing just that. But this year wasn't all up for Ronaldo, as he picked up a couple of injuries along the way. Nothing too serious, but enough to stunt his progress that season, meaning he only managed to play 19 Serie A games and score 14 goals in the process.
She's still efficient. That's very, very efficient. He only played 19 games, still did 14 goals. He's a very efficient, a high efficient player.
Fans were hoping that this would just be an off-season for the best player in the world, but as he returned...
And then, oh yeah, I also remember about the number 10. Yeah, I said the number 10 is like basically being a point guard. I'm learning. Next
season, nobody was ready for the devastating downfall that was about to occur.
Oh man, what happened?
Going into the 1999-2000 season, Ronaldo was named as the captain of Inter Milan, and Inter had very high hopes for the season ahead. But on the 21st of November, in a league game against Lecce, these hopes would be shattered. During this game, Ronaldo felt something wrong in his knee and was forced to leave the pitch early. He thought this was just a minor injury, but the medical staff later found out that he ruptured a tendon in his knee and required surgery, meaning he was set to miss at least 6 months of football.
And like I was saying, I asked a few videos ago, for anybody who hasn't caught it, I said, were there any players that are like the what ifs? So is R9 considered one of the what ifs? Is he like a Derrick Rose? For anybody that knows about basketball, is he like a Derrick Rose where he was great MVP, on his way to probably winning a championship and everything, but an injury basically kept him at bay from being the greatest? So is this basically what happened with R9? Is he was on his way to becoming Maradona, Pele? Like, he was on his way becoming the best, de facto best. But injuries basically is what took him out, and that basically what happened with his career. I know we're going to watch it and see what happened, but that basically what happened. Is he the biggest what if?
A real blow for Ronaldo and for Inter, as he was clearly the best player in the world at the time. But despite this setback, Ronaldo fought his way back through the recovery, and after 6 long months, he was deemed fit to play again. On the 12th of April 2000,
That's too short. That's too short. That is too short. Even now with sports medicine, the way that we have it now, they're still out 8 to 9 months. And some for up to a year, and then they even still get kept on minutes when they actually do come back and play. So even for this being in the time frame that it was back then, over 20 years ago, that is a terribly short. Like, you're going to tear it again.
Ronaldo made his way back onto the pitch, ready to regain his electric form, but this day marked the worst moment in his career.
Yeah.
After only 6 minutes back on the pitch in the Coppa Italia final against Lazio, Ronaldo was running at the defense doing his famous stepovers that he had done 1,000 times before, but this time he just collapsed to the floor in agony. Yeah. Ronaldo suffered a complete rupture of the kneecap, tendons, an injury even worse than what he had last time. The club club physio says that his kneecap actually exploded, making this the worst injury he had ever seen before. This injury was so bad that he had to not only miss the rest of this season, but missed the entire next season also. Because of this, the captaincy was taken off him and handed to Javier Zanetti, as it looked like Ronaldo's career was over. Surely,
yeah, I figured I figured that was gonna happen. Like, okay, for people who don't know me and people that are new to the channel and some people that probably follow my other content, whatever. Okay, so I come from a medical family, and before I went to prison for whatever, I was going to go into medical school to become a doctor. So I'm very aware of how injuries work, sports medicine, all of this, whatever. Okay, that's a little background. So there's precursors from small injuries to larger injuries. Okay, so he had a small tear, and then they brought him back 6 months later. That is not healed. That is at least a year before you even start doing anything physical for real. And that's even with the sports medicine that we have today. And he had that partial tear, and you see what happened. His kneecap exploded. It's the same way for people that when they have Achilles tears. The first thing that's going to hurt when you're about to tear your Achilles is you're going to start having calf strains. Okay, so anybody out here that plays football now, any type of sport, when you start having multiple calf strains and you start having pain in your calves, you're about to tear your Achilles. Okay? So that was due to lack of knowledge on the sports medicine part that just happened to him. Bringing him back 6 months after a partial tear is insane. What happened to him is literally the direct result of negligence on their end. And y'all know time passed, but he could have sued them. That was legitimate negligence. That was, we need him back on there so he could produce his wins and bring us more money. That was negligence. Straight up negligence. 6 months after a partial tear? No. And that created a bigger injury. That's usually how it happens. Whenever there's smoke, there's fire when it comes to the body. So one little injury means something way bigger. And they failed to do that. It's crazy.
His career was over. There was no coming back from an injury like this, right? In the summer of 2002, there was a World Cup to play. 4 years on from the Brazilian heartbreak against France in 1998, Ronaldo wasn't meant to make it to this tournament. The injury he had was supposed to finish his career, but in what is quite possibly the greatest career comeback in football history, Ronaldo somehow got fit for the end of the 2001-2002 season, and after more than 2 years out of the game, he came back and scored 7 goals in Inter's final 10 games of the season. This meant he was back and fit to play in
he took a 2-year break. He took what you were supposed to take.
The World Cup. But he wasn't only injury-free. He was angry and fired up, ready to dominate this World Cup. He showed up to the tournament with the most iconic
And I remember the haircut.
Haircut in football history and put on a show like no other. 8 goals in the tournament, including a brace in the final against Germany, saw Ronaldo Nazário lift the World Cup trophy for the second time in his career. But this time, he was the focal point of the team. Because of his World Cup heroics, he was handed the 2002 Ballon d'Or, naming him as the best football player in the world, as he was so clearly...
Does he got a movie? He needs a movie. This needs a movie. Is there a movie for this? There should be a movie for this. That is immaculate. If there's a movie, let me know in the comments, but definitely, he needs a movie. This is crazy.
Back to his best. Now, at this time, Florentino Perez was collecting the Infinity Stones with Real Madrid as he was splurging out on the best players in the world. And in this same summer, Ronaldo was the latest addition to the Galacticos, making a £46 million move away from Inter Milan to sign for Real Madrid. His signing broke the all-time jersey sale record in 24 hours as the fans were so excited to have the best player in the world at their club. He actually arrived at Real Madrid slightly injured, which might have been a warning sign for the Real Madrid fans, but they didn't care because he...
So I got a question. So even though I did the 2 videos on transfers and still I think those were terrible videos because they just didn't make sense. So they pay a transfer fee and then they still do the contract. So when they said they paid the 40-something million, is that the transfer fee? and then you pay whatever you're going to pay him in the contract? Is that how that works? I don't know, man. Let me know.
Quickly recovered and led Madrid to La Liga that season with 30 goals in 44 games. Probably the highlight of his Real Madrid career would have to be the hat-trick he scored against Man United at Old Trafford that even got the Man United fans up on their feet to clap for his brilliance. In the next season at Real Madrid, he suffered an injury late in the season, and without Ronaldo, they collapsed in all competitions.
Damn, I thought Beckham was like that, to where he could have upheld that.
Finishing the season trophyless, although Ronaldo still had a great season on a personal level. The 2004-05 season was basically a repeat of the previous in the sense that Ronaldo performed individually, picked up a couple of injuries, and Real Madrid didn't win anything significant, but this was the last time we would see Ronaldo Nazário in such fine form because from 2006, his career started to fall apart in a tragic way.
Yeah, age, man. Age, man. Age, you know what I mean? Them pre-existing injuries that you had get to tearing you up.
Ronaldo spent one more year at Real Madrid where the injuries continued to pile up, but this time it wasn't just injuries getting in the way of his football. He started to experience some weight issues and couldn't stay in shape. He was diagnosed with hypothyroidism, which basically means his metabolism was slowed down and he put on weight much easier. So now Ronaldo was struggling with injuries, weight, and general fitness, which was seemingly getting the better of him. It didn't help that he fell out of favor with Real Madrid's new manager, Fabio Capello, who decided to ship him off to AC Milan in 2007 for £8 million. When Ronaldo arrived at AC Milan, he had this to say about his time at Real Madrid. "I would like to thank the fans who supported me all the time and thank the teammates that I've had here and all the coaches I've had, except one." This was clearly a dig at Capello, but
yo, sports is ruthless. Once you not, first of all, this outfit is fire that he got on. He got that shit on. But sports is ruthless to the point that where as soon as you're not producing, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. As soon as you ain't him no more, it's over.
Anyway, Ronaldo was now back in Italy looking to jumpstart his career once more. What's interesting is that Ronaldo doesn't seem to care about club loyalty, having now played for both Barcelona and Real Madrid and Inter Milan and AC Milan. In Ronaldo's first season in Milan, he only managed to play 14 games, picking up 7 goals in the process as the injuries and fitness issues persisted. Then going into his second season, they just got worse as he only managed to play 300 minutes that whole.
They even gave him the number 99. They just like, boy, you get a football lineman number. They wildin'.
Year. Because of his inability to stay fit, AC Milan had to release him from the club in 2009. But Ronaldo wasn't going to give up on football just yet because he was going to give it one last shot back home in Brazil. Before he was released by Milan, he suffered another bad knee injury, so he returned home looking for clubs to help him with his recovery. The Brazilian club Flamengo helped him for 4 months with his recovery and got him fit. Ronaldo claims to have grown up as a Flamengo fan, so it was looking like this was going to be a fairy tale ending to his career, signing for the club he grew up a fan of. The Flamengo fans were excited to have the legend join the club, but in a shocking turn of events, Ronaldo signed for Brazilian rivals Corinthians.
So now that he did that, and he signed to the rival. So is there like a little sour taste in some of y'all mouth about him? Is there like, some people feel like he's a traitor because they're like, hey, this is who we grew up with, but he went and signed over there. So is there like some type of, or they would say a derby because of that? Is there a beef because of that? A rivalry because of like, hey, Ronaldo, he was supposed to sign over here, but he went over here. So is there a rivalry because of that? That's crazy.
Flamengo fans were furious as they started to burn shirts of Ronaldo, but he just claims that he never received an offer from the club, so he chose to sign for a club that wanted him. Between 2009 and 2011, Ronaldo actually managed to play a total of 42 games in Brazil and bagged 24 goals in the process, despite the constant battles against injuries and weight gain. But on the 14th of February 2011, at 34 years old, Ronaldo decided to finally give in to his body and hang up his boots for good. After a total of 342 goals in 482 career games, Ronaldo had this.
That's high efficiency. Very efficient.
To say, "It's very hard to leave something that made me so happy. Mentally, I wanted to continue, but I have to acknowledge that I lost to my body. The head wants to go on, but but the body can't take any more. I think of an action, but I can't do it the way I want to. It's time to go. And that was that. Now, after retirement, he actually went on to buy the Brazilian football club Cruzeiro, which is where he started his career at.
That's dope. That is dope. At least he listened to his body and kept it going. And you know what I'm saying? And then it didn't let the sport retire him. You get what I'm saying? Usually there's a moment where it's just one devastating injury that is so devastating you just can't come back from. Like, just can't. Oh, it's over. You will never see you on this field anymore. It's a wrap. But instead, he listened to his body telling him, hey, that injury is going to come if you keep playing. So I think you should give it up now and just go out. Just go out on your own accord instead of having to go out on your shield. And that's a very smart move.
Just 16 years old, closing the loop on an insane story. But this isn't the...
That's dope. That's definitely a great story. I'm elated. Because y'all told me, hey, you need to look at R9. I've been seeing the comments since I started this of y'all telling me, look at R9, look at R9, look at R9. Finally looked at R9. That's probably the best story I've seen so far. Anybody else that I should look at, let me know in the comments. All right, y'all be easy. Catch you on the next one.